Hello, I'm James Marsh, the chairman of the board of directors of Child USA, the think tank for child protection. Millions of children are abused and neglected, and their civil rights are violated every day. We are working to change that. Child USA is led by its founder and CEO, Professor Marci Hamilton.
I'm Marci Hamilton, and I'm a professor at the University of Pennsylvania. Child USA is a think tank. A think tank is a collection of some of the top people in the country studying some particular issue to solve a public policy problem. We give lawmakers the ability to assess their own law, provide the facts so they can make informed decisions about child protection. When we get specific calls from lawmakers on specific issues, we will analyze a bill and say, we think this part works, we think this part doesn't work.
Hi, my name is Alex Boren, and I am the Executive Director of Child USA. I'm an attorney by trade, and what really drew me to Child was the fact that we look for evidence-based solutions to real-world problems affecting children. Child USA has various initiatives for child protection, including statute of limitations reform, our amicus advocacy initiative, our athletes and abuse initiative, and many others.
Child USA is the leader in child sex abuse statutes of limitations reform.
The statute of limitations is the arbitrary deadline for filing anything in a court. The question in these cases is, when is it a child sex abuse victim has to go to court or they get shut out? 90% of the victims were just out of luck. They were not going to get justice because they had been too late to the court. The average age to come forward is 52. So the states were shutting down their possibilities long before they were ready. We really have two sets of victims in this world. We have the ones from the past who have been shut out of justice altogether. We have the kids being abused right now. Child USA is working to make sure both sets of victims get justice. The Child Victims Act would extend the statute of limitations for child sex abuse, but even more importantly, it would revive the expired statutes of limitations for the victims from the past.
Child USA studies the intersection between religious liberty and harm to children.
Child USA also tracks the medical neglect laws in the United States, and what those laws do is they tell parents that they must provide medical care to their children. And the First Amendment is exactly what we need for the protection of children. It says, believe whatever you want, but you can't do whatever you want. And if you hurt someone, you're liable. I actually had a case at the United States Supreme Court involving the Religious Freedom Restoration Act, which is the act that was passed in 1993, which provides the most extreme protection for religious liberty in the history of the United States. Basically, what this law says is that no law applies to a religious believer unless the government can prove that it is absolutely necessary. So it opens the door for every religious believer to say, I don't have to abide by the law. There are laws that say, if you're a religious believer, you don't have to provide medical care, at least to the point that the child's going to die. We have quite a few religious groups that don't believe in providing that medical care. These are children who deserve to live.
Conversion therapy, as it is sometimes called, is used by some religious believers in an attempt to alter the sexual orientation of their children. There is a lack of reliable empirical evidence on the impact of such therapy.
We are devising a survey that we will be distributing through LGBTQ communities in order to find out, well, what did happen to you? Religious lobbyists are arguing for religious liberty. You can't fight that with just emotions. The only way to fight a religious liberty argument is with fact.
From Coach Jerry Sandusky at Penn State to Dr. Larry Nassar and Olympic gymnastics, there is a serious problem with the abuse of athletes in the United States. Child USA is conducting a cutting-edge study on the incidence of abuse and neglect among elite athletes. It has also formed the Game Over Commission to collect all relevant information and issue a written report on the sex abuse of hundreds of gymnasts by Dr. Larry Nassar.
As everybody knows, Larry Nassar was sexually abusing hundreds of gymnasts. He was housed at Michigan State University. Turns out that Michigan had the single worst statute of limitations in the United States. A major bill was passed in Congress this year involving accountability for abusive athletes. No coach should be permitted to be alone with an athlete where nobody can see them. That's in the statute, and that's because of the work of Child USA. Child USA is part of the civil rights movement for children. Children don't have a voice. Children used to be property. They used to be owned by their fathers. they're now individuals that deserve our protection.